But Albanese's been visiting New Zealand these past couple of days, and its Labor Prime Minister told him and us, yes, a treaty, it's just great. Look at what it's done for New Zealand.
I'm firmly of the view that the process of reconciliation that New Zealand has been going through for a number of decades has been overwhelmingly positive for New Zealand.
Well, let's fact check that claim. Joining me is Brash, is the former leader of the Nationals and founder of Hobson's Pledge. That's a group fighting for racial equality in New Zealand. Brash, always great to see you. Look, your Prime Minister says your treaty and the whole reconciliation movement in New Zealand has been, quote, overwhelmingly positive. Has it? I mean, are New Zealanders now united? Are race tensions almost gone? Are the Maori now healthy and as rich as other New Zealanders?
We're more divided now than we've ever been. Yes, at one point the treaty was clearly designed to unite the country, and as originally written, the treaty would suggest that we were united. Maori chiefs, on the face of it, ceded sovereignty to the British Crown. They were guaranteed their property rights, and they were guaranteed equality with all other New Zealanders. What can be wrong with that? But what we've seen in the last 30, 40 years in particular is a gross distortion of those intentions, so that now we're a deeply divided country with those who claim some Maori ancestry, often very slight Maori ancestry, arguing that they have some special constitutional status in New Zealand. Now, to be fair, that's not true of all Maori. There are many Maori who say, we want none of that. We want equality with other New Zealanders, and that's all we want. And in fact, a year or two back, you may recall, we had the leader of the National Party and the deputy leader of the National Party were both Maori, saying we want nothing special at all. Currently, we've got the leader of the ACT Party, two of whose caucus members are also Maori, who say, look, we want only equality, and I believe them. But unfortunately, there are many other Maori who say, no, we want special rights over control of water, control of government-owned land, etc. Very dangerous indeed.
And that's, of course, what the Labor government there has been moving to, this idea of co-governance, that one race has equal say over some of the assets, water assets in this case, and health assets too, as the other side, even though Maori make up, 16, 70% of your population. What is wrong with the idea of a treaty, do you think? I mean, you're talking about the Treaty of Waitangi, which, 150 years ago, whatever it is, actually had an assimilationist idea. The treaty we're talking about now will not have that, not in Australia. What is the problem with the treaty?
Well, in our case, the treaty as written was something which many New Zealanders are proud of. As you say, it guaranteed everybody equal rights. But this has now been reinterpreted by politicians, who in many cases have no understanding of what the treaty actually said, and they're interpreting it to mean something quite different from what it was originally intended. And it means now separation, preferential treatment for those who have a Maori ancestor, etc. And actually, Andrew, Three Waters you mentioned is worse than you imply. Yes, the bodies to control these organizations will be made of equal numbers of Maori and non-Maori, but worse, there's a special body which will be entitled to lay down rules under which these three water entities must operate, and those can only be laid down by Maori New Zealanders. It's a quite distorted arrangement, and one which will rip the country apart if it goes ahead.
But, then we talk, because you've also gone further than us in having special seats for people identifying as Maori. And you've even got a Maori party. Now, we're told, oh, look, if we go down this way, essentially your way, in bits and bobs, what it'll do is actually improve health outcomes, improve welfare outcomes. It's all about, giving people more self-determination, therefore everything will be better. On things like imprisonment rates, health rates, education rates, wealth, all that kind of stuff, have the Maori in New Zealand reached equality with the non-Maori?
On average, no. No, by any means. Have they got better than they were in terms of life expectancy and so on? Much, much better. They'll still blame colonialism and so on for their plight, but they have improved vastly in terms of life expectancy over the last 150 years. But there's still a significant gap between those with the Maori ancestor and those without a Maori ancestor, and no amount of treaty is going to fix that.
No, I think basically assimilation and forgetting all these racial distinctions and preferences are the way to go. Just finally, Don Brash,
Absolutely.
We're about to vote on whether to have our own voice to Parliament in our constitution, a kind of Aboriginal-only advisory group with constitutional powers to advise and be heard. Given what you've seen, is that likely to help us or hurt?
I think it'd be a serious mistake, Andrew. I very much hope that the voice referendum is lost in Australia. Undoubtedly, there are problems which many Aborigines face in Australia, but the voice giving people a preferential status is long-term a disaster.
Don Brash, you've fought for equality for a long time. I used to think that was the cause of the left, but apparently no longer it is. Thank you so much for your courage and for coming on the show.